Well, I got you muted here so they can't hear you. Hold on, let me pause this. Oh, I just spoke over top. You guys can hear me now. You guys can hear me now. Everybody that's watching, you guys can hear me now. What's popping with you guys tonight? We got a lot to talk about, though. We got a lot to talk about. And we're going to get to James Dolan, but we're going to keep that quick because I don't want the focus to be taken away from what really matters. We're going to talk about James Dolan because it has to do with the New York Knicks. And James Dolan is the reason that we'll bring it up, is the reason that I'm saying we got to stay focused. Right? Because I don't want the media or anybody else to strategically divert us from the real issues. I want you guys to pay attention to what I'm saying. But I got in the chat, I got Kev and I got Guillermo, got Isaiah, we got Savvy here. You know, we're going to talk about everything that's going on with this whole James Dolan situation. And he did release another internal statement. We're going to look at and read both of those statements. Let me get these guys over here, man. Then we can talk about it. Get you guys to just say what's up first. You know, then we can go ahead and get with it. Fellas, what's popping, man?
Hey, Sam, how you feeling, man?
What's up, man? What's going on, Sam? What's going on, Chad?
Doing well.
You know, physically, I feel good. Looking at everything that's going on in the world, I'm pissed off.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. I agree.
Yeah, like you say, Sam, we here, we alive, so we very blessed.
Invigorated and exhausted.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, tired, angry, pissed off. We're just trying to find the answer. So, but like I said, we here and we have a platform to talk about it, so we blessed.
Yeah, and we got to do more to talk about it, you know what I mean? But we'll talk about that later because we're going to talk about, what happens next. What do we do next? We're going to talk about James Dolan and some of the things happening. We're going to talk about what do we do next, though, because it's not good enough. It's not good enough to just talk about it on platforms like this. It's good, but it's not good enough. It's good to make your avatar black on all of your social media accounts. Okay, I get it. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to amount to, what the end result is going to be of that whole movement for today. Not exactly sure what that's going to amount to. But if you did it, you did it. Cool. I get it. But what are you going to do afterwards? What are you going to do next? What are you going to do when your social media post is gone in the next couple of days? What are you going to do then? That's what I want to know.
Wow,
that's what I really want to talk about tonight. You know what I mean? That's where I really want to get to. But before we do, let's go ahead and talk about the story and what happened over the last couple of days with James Dolan. All right, because James Dolan, I don't know who's got, it looks like someone got a phone call coming in. So James Dolan put out a statement to his, I guess the statement was to his staff, right? To the staff at Madison Square Garden. And apparently, somebody leaked the email that James Dolan put out to the media. I don't know. Who's got somebody? Somebody got something called.
I apologize. That's somebody texting me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to let it go and everything. That's me. That's
okay.
on me.
All right. You know what? Hit him back. Say, hey, I'm live. I got people listening to me right now. I need you to,
Absolutely.
As long as it's not your wife. If it's your wife, you better answer the phone.
Hey, just celebrate the anniversary. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if it's your wife, you better answer the phone because you already know. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You already know.
Absolutely.
But anyway, James Dolan sent a message to the MSG staff because apparently there were people who were upset that he did not put out a statement, or MSG, or the Knicks didn't put out a statement. This is what he said. He said, "We know that some of you have asked about whether our company is going to make a public statement about the killing of George Floyd by a Minneapolis officer. I want you to know, I realize the importance of this issue. Therefore, I want you to understand our internal position. This is a turbulent, This is a turbulent time in our country. The coronavirus and civil unrest have taken their toll on our way of life. We at Madison Square Garden stand by our values of a respectful and peaceful workplace. We always will. As companies in the business of sports and entertainment, however, we are not more qualified than anyone else to offer our opinion on social matters. What's important is how we operate. Our companies are committed to upholding our values, which include creating a respectful workplace for all. And that will never change. What we say to each other matters. How we treat each other matters. And that's what will get us through this difficult time. And of course, there was a media firestorm. Not exactly based on what James Dolan said, but what he didn't say. But I want to say this to you. And you all probably seen the video that I put out earlier. James Dolan is not the voice of black people in America. Let's not make that mistake. Let's not make that mistake at all. James Dolan is the owner of the New York Knicks. And that's it. That's it. I don't need him to speak for me. We don't need him to speak for black people. I'm going to ask you this. When have you ever heard of the New York Knicks speak about social issues? Because I don't recall. I don't recall. There are plenty of corporations out there speaking about, giving their statement. Don't let them fool you. Right? Because many of those corporations are giving their statement in support of George Floyd's family and in protest of police brutality to make sure that they're on the right side. And that's it. That's it. Some of them may actually put their money where their mouth is. Most of them will not. Most of them, when this thing is passed, will go all about their daily business and forget all about that this happened. And will not continue to fight for police brutality. I would much rather have somebody, because statements without activity mean nothing. I would much rather have somebody do something and not make a statement. Bottom line. You know, you can not like James Dolan. That's fine. That's fine. But let's not put stuff on him that's undue. I don't think that's right. And let's not distract or deter or take any U-turns away from the real issues that are at hand. And James Dolan is not the issue. I can guarantee you that George Floyd's family do not care that James Dolan made a statement or not. They don't give a damn. Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't understand it. There's so many bigger issues at hand. So many bigger issues at hand than whether or not James Dolan made a statement. It's too many issues at hand. So like I said in my video, I challenge you, instead of making a social media post or to back up or follow up your social media post, do something active. Go find a town hall meeting to participate in and let your voice be heard. Ask about certain legislation in your town, in your neighborhood. What is your neighborhood going to do to prevent police brutality? Go fight for that. Go find a young man to mentor, a young black man to mentor, if you can. And talk with him about the oppressive state of the United States of America. Enlighten him. Don't worry about James Dolan and the Knicks. Go do that. You know, spend your energy there, because the energy that we spend, the energy that I'm spending right now, and that we are all spending right now, worried about James Dolan, and if the New York Knicks made a statement that you like, is energy that I'm taking away from the actual cause, the actual reason. You feel me? The actual reason. Don't be distracted. Stay focused. We're going to talk about this, but we're going to follow this up with what's next. Because it's not enough to just talk about this. What's next? What are you going to do? What am I going to do? How are we going to make this last? Right? Everybody's got energy. Everybody's aware right now. How are we going to make sure that we stay aware? We keep the energy. We keep it going. We keep it moving. We stay active. What are we going to do? What are you going to do? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. That's what we're going to talk about. Now, James Dolan did follow up with another statement. And listen, I'm not going to lie to you. He followed up with this statement because he caught some heat. And still, though, and I'm going to give him credit for this. I'm going to give him credit for this. This is an email that was leaked from Madison Square Garden. Not that he took and put this out to the public. This is an email that was leaked. So even though he knew that he caught media backlash, he didn't put anything out to the media. He put it out to his staff, and his staff leaked it. Because I saw the actual email. You probably did too. His staff leaked it. Said, yesterday, I made a sincere attempt to provide my perspective on a very difficult issue, one that has no easy answers. I know how important this topic is to many, and I do not want to hear any confusion. I do not want there to be any confusion about where I as an individual or we as a company stand. So let me be clear. We vehemently condemn and reject racism against anyone, period. It is against every value that we hold dear. My point yesterday was about actions and the importance of living your values. At Madison Square Garden, we have worked hard to build an environment of inclusion and mutual respect, and those are the values that we try to live every day. Racism is born of ignorance, and it's up to each of us to understand that the person working beside you is your equal without regard to color or any of the other qualities that make us diverse. And any injustice to one person is an injustice to everyone. This is how we at MSG fight racism. We start with ourselves, and through our actions, we define who we are. That is how we can be an example to the wider world. That was the point of my message yesterday. I am proud of the environment you have created here. I know that this is a difficult time and that we will always need to communicate with one another on hard issues. I will continue to do as much as I can to help make our community even better. I know you will also. That's a statement that he put out today to his staff, not to the public. Let me talk to these guys here, man. Fellas.
Hey, who wants to go first?
Hey,
talk to me, man.
Hey, let me go first real quick. I just want to ask a question.
Yeah.
If an employee did that,
hey Kevin, I can't hear Kevin.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Isaiah?
I can hear you.
Kevin, I can hear you. Okay.
If an employee leaked that out, should that employee be under should that employee have disciplinary action? If you're the manager or whatever, should that person have some disciplinary action?
You know, probably so. Probably so.
Okay.
You know, probably so. But I will say this. Given the situation and the frustration, whatever's going on inside MSG, if there's frustration and internal discussions and debate, they may say, you know what? They may say we'll go light on you this time because of whatever. I don't know. But yes, there probably should be. Okay.
Here's my thing. And I'm 100 Affinity times Affinity agree with what you're saying. What you said today made sense. What Dolan said to the employees made sense. I think the media and fans see the other owners, a la Mark Cuban, marching with everybody and expect James Dolan to do the same thing. And what people have got to get is that everybody is different. Not everybody's going to follow what what other owners are doing. And for me, until James Dolan turns out to be like Donald Sterling or Marge Schott when she owned the Reds, I don't want to hear nothing. And that's all I got to say about it.
Listen, hey, I'm with you. James Dolan is not that guy. You may not like him. People don't like him because he's friends with Donald Trump. You know, his political affiliations. I mean, that's not my business, right? That's just political affiliations. I'm not asking James Dolan to come to my community and give to my community, although he does. And not just because he hires black executives. I seen a post on Twitter the other day because I did a response here on Sportscaster about Baron Davis, saying his stuff about being the coach of the Knicks, right? And the guy on Twitter who Baron Davis was responding to, he said, the Knicks and the NBA need to stop hiring these dinosaurs, referring to Tom Thibodeau, and hire young black coaches. And I was like, wait a minute. Obviously, you're not following what has really happened with the New York Knicks. Because 3 of the last 4 coaches for the New York Knicks have been black men. Right? Mike Woodson, Derek Fisher, and David Fizdale. In between there, you had Jeff Hornacek. And I'm not talking about the interim head coaches. 3 of the last 4. And I'm like, dude, are you paying attention? And I'm not saying this to reap crazy praises on James Dolan. Right? Because, it's who we decided to hire. He wasn't afraid to hire an all-black front office, though.
The first to do it, by the way.
He wasn't afraid to do that.
The first to do it. Everybody's so woke. He's the first one to do it.
Case closed.
And
Can I say something on James Dolan?
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna go after you, Gilmore.
Okay, and so I just want it's discussing that, in my opinion, right? When we talk about black suffrage and other stuff, right? Other things that go on in the country, I just find it disgusting that you have institutions, enterprises like ESPN, who want to use this as a way to try to get him out. Because I think there's a concerted effort to get him out. And like I said, look, if you want to get him out, you buy him out. That's how it works in capitalism.
Yeah.
You want to get him out, you buy him out. You don't sit there and you don't put on lies on his name. You don't try to paint him as a racist. Because like you said, say what you want about James Dolan. First of all, I agree with you, Kevin. Whoever leaked that email needs to be fired because that's against company policy. And the thing that I find so disgusting is that when James Dolan was funding money for people during the COVID-19 pandemic, the height of it, I didn't hear ESPN praising him. I didn't hear anyone else praising him. Mind you, you had guys like, I don't want to say Gian. No, you had guys like Zion, I think, somebody from the Sixers or something like that, who were paying money out of their pocket for COVID workers while their owners were doing nothing. While you had the Lakers trying to steal money from the small business loan program for their own enterprise when they didn't need the money. But yet, and you had a lot of people in NBA, I could trace back, like I said, to Craig Hodges and Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, where those guys got blackballed out of the industry, and no one came to their rescue. No one stood up for them. Craig Hodges, one of the best three-point role players in the game. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, if you follow his career, he was Steph Curry before Steph Curry. The guy who could shoot. Just that obviously the game was a little bit different back then. And yet I don't hear no one talking about this. In the NBA, they have bylaws that say you cannot kneel for the anthem. You have to stand up and salute. And yet, out of all these things that happen in the NBA when it comes to black people, all these small little so-called microaggressions and injustices that people could talk about. Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about the Donald Sterling episode, where these guys knew for years how racist this guy was, from his business practices to him bringing in women to the locker room, treating the players like slaves, where they were basically naked, and he's showing women around to be like, yeah, these my guys, where they're naked. No one talked about it. The NBA hid that. And yet when it comes to James Dolan, now look, if you want to talk about James Dolan being a terrible owner, I will watch every special and laugh with you. I will watch every special and be like, yup, I agree. I agree 1,000%. But when you cross the line where you're trying to paint the man as a racist, first of all, he ain't black. And he ain't a part of our community like that. To me, he is entertainment. I pay him for the game. He gives me terrible entertainment in the form of a bunch of terrible Knicks seasons. But I pay for it. So I pay for it, so that's what I get. Other than that, to me, he has nothing else to give to me. I'm not concerned with his community like that in terms of social stuff. As long as they're not impinging on my life, and he shouldn't be concerning me like that. But for the simple fact that he went out of his way to do the COVID-19 thing, right? He went out of his way, and obviously this is not a black thing, but he paid for the David Stern funeral. I didn't hear a peep out of anyone. I didn't hear the so-called black community, or not black, but I didn't hear some of these so-called woke sports writers come out and say, you know what, James Dolan's a good dude. James Dolan did something good for the people. I didn't hear none. But you sit here and get mad at this dude because he didn't say something. And again, there's a great video. If you guys watch Urinating Tree, it's a sports channel. It's not anything great. It's a sports channel called Urinating Tree. They have a great parody video of companies who pander and do absolutely nothing. It's like this. It's like an ad for, oh yeah, blah, 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 and they just pander. That's what a lot of these people are doing. They're pandering. Because when all the racist stuff was really happening around them, none of these guys are going to sacrifice their money to so-called stop racism. None of these guys are going to stop playing games. Or none of these guys are going to cancel games. Remember the Clippers game in the playoffs when they could have canceled it? In boycott of Donald Sterling, the NBA pressured those guys to play because millions of dollars were at stake. So if you want to get mad at James Dolan, they're trying to paint him as the Isaiah Thomas thing, that he doesn't know how to treat women. They try. I mean, I don't know. The drug stuff might have some validation, but they try to paint him as that. Then they had these guys like Oakley and Spike, who defeated themselves by looking like privileged idiots by complaining about, oh, I'm in a slave thing because I'm sitting front row, wherever the hell Charles Oakley was sitting. And Spike Lee, who wanted to get into a special entrance when he was told months in advance not to do that. You have these people coming out. So all I want to say is people is that, and this even goes to the whole protest, critically think and see who is putting the battery in your back to think a certain way. Just critically think. James Dolan has nothing to owe me, bro. And James Dolan is not the issue. You have a lot of other enterprises that could be a lot more culpable for a lot of bad imagery they show on black people. For instance, the ESPN NFL draft, every black player that had a bad, a so-called tragedy that occurred in their life, they focused on it and they put it out there. It was almost like tragedy porn on every black player. Go back to this past draft. They have parodies of this on YouTube. I didn't hear anything racist. Oh, we got to boycott ESPN, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to James Dolan, who did a good thing with the COVID-19 thing, and what he said, and you know the crazy thing, I'll let you guys say after this, you know what I actually respect about the first thing James Dolan said? He said, I am not in a position, he's literally telling people, look, I am a sports owner. Whatever I say, it's okay, fine, it's whatever. The people you should be worried about are the people like the DA or whatever 10 years ago that could have had the cop arrested, what's his guy's name? The one who killed George Floyd, Siobhan?
Yeah.
No one talks about her because I think it was her, whatever. She was in her campaign. No one talks about that. James Dolan's literally telling you, he's trying to inform you that, and it's an issue with a lot of us. My perspective. I feel that because many of us, we come from broken homes, right? So when we see sports, it galvanizes us. For a lot of people, good things. Hey, I may not be ever be an NBA player in my life, but the tenacity I put into working out and do that stuff is it made me a good scientist. It made me a good lawyer. It made me a good this, blah, blah, whatever. But we have an infatuation. We take sports to mean something greater in our overall community, in our overall so-called trying to build what we call a culture. And we have to take a step back and be like, these guys, they're icons. They're not our mothers, they're not our fathers, not in communities like that, even though some of them are, but they're not the people that we should be looking at to say, hey, we need to get out of this rut. I live in this bad situation, we need to get out of this rut. James Dolan's literally telling you, I'm not that guy. And people want to throw him on the bus for that? That means that we're lost, man.
Hey, man. Shout out to everybody in chat right now. RP George Floyd. just to hop on what Guillermo was saying, if you really read the first statement, like Guillermo's saying, he literally says, "I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy to tell you what to do or tell you what he should do." And I get so disgusted with ESPN sometimes, man, because they're just trying to push this narrative on James Dolan. And I'm not trying to defend James Dolan. I'm really not. But I can't disrespect the man when he's done good, and then we kill him for not saying something, even though he's been doing something for years. But we don't bring that up because ESPN doesn't bring that up. Listen, it's a terrible song, but he made a song about Trayvon Martin. It wasn't good. We know it wasn't good. But
the song wasn't good. The song wasn't good.
Wasn't good, but his heart was in the right place.
But the message of the song was good.
The message was in the right place. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about when he paid for the funeral. He paid for the funeral of David Stern. They don't talk about him being we live in this woke culture, as everybody says. Everybody praises Mark Cuban. They praise the Warriors owner. They praise the Spurs. But James Dolan is the only owner to have an all-black triple threat of executive, general manager, and head coach. Only one in NBA history in 2018.
And gave it a chance.
In the history of the NBA, James Dolan the first one. But we don't talk about that. We don't talk about, like you said, 3 out of our last 4 coaches were black. Young black, by the way. They were all, besides Mike Woodson, they were in their 40s. I even think Derek Fisher was in his 30s. So, but Sim, let me say something that really bothered me, right? So I'm reading the comments on YouTube, right, on some of these people. And you know what really, this one comment stuck out to me, and this is the problem. Someone said, "How did James Dolan fumble the bag?" He said, "How did James Dolan fumble the bag? This is a wave right now. You can't catch it."
And that's the problem right there.
It's
a wave right now. That's the problem. It's a wave right now. Did you hear that part? It's a wave right now. And you didn't catch it. We don't need first of all, we don't need James Dolan to speak out on black issues. That's number one. We don't need James Dolan to speak out on black issues. He's never been privileged his entire life. He's never had to sleep unless he chose to. Never had to sleep without heat. He never had to go without
food. Oven open, Sim. Sleep with the oven open, man.
Exactly. Dry your socks in front of the oven before you go to school. He didn't have to do none of that shit, man.
Hey,
so
man,
how is he going to speak out on black issues? I don't want James Dolan to speak out on black issues because he does not know what to say. He does not know about it.
And I've never been to the playground either.
Sam, and that killed me. And I said, okay, this is the problem, right? And I was watching a video, and someone said it. I was watching Speak for Yourself. Shout out to Gilmore. He got me on that. He got me on that Speak for Yourself. Someone said it best. It's easy right now to be on the right side because everybody's doing it, Sim.
Yep.
You know how Sim. Listen, people can feel how they feel about Colin Kaepernick. I know Gilmore's not the biggest fan of Colin Kaepernick, but people that were sticking with Colin Kaepernick back then, and who would have not, I respect them because it wasn't. It's not easy to do what Colin. Again, people can feel how they feel about him, but it wasn't easy for what Colin did, and he did it when nobody was doing it. He did it when it was hard. Because I'm sick of everybody now. It's funny how Stephen A. Smith wasn't messing with Kaepernick, but now everybody's saying to him, well, look, Kaepernick was right. Kaepernick was right. And now everybody wants to get on that wave. But now that it's easy because everybody's doing it. Tell me when everybody doesn't do it and you do it. That's when it's hard. People kill me with this crap. And people are bull crap, Sim. And I'm not talking about the major companies, Sim, because we know, if you really know, you know how they get down. You know that they're going to jump on this wave. We all know that. But I'm talking about the people in here you just killing people and just joining the wave now. Doing like it's just crazy to me. Y'all don't stand when everybody tell you to sit down, but y'all do this now. Everybody do it now. that's y'all phony and y'all fake, man. That's not genuine to me. To me, it's not genuine. To me,
you know what's sad?
You're doing the easy way. Doing when it's hard, bro.
You know what's almost sad, dude? And this goes to my people. And someone said this, man. It's like the whole old saying, right? You know, give a person food, you feed him for a day. Teach him. And this is why they say you can't give free things to people who yearn for it, because they're never fully gonna appreciate it. Like you mentioned a great thing about the wave. Like I'm literally checking social media, and people that I know for a fact that they're non-black, and when they're in the presence of their friends and say there's one black guy they see as token, they'll say the N-word with like they don't give a damn. They because they see you as like a safe black person. I see them doing the blackout stuff. I've seen a kid that I know, he was high one time. He's literally saying the N-word, yo, F N-words, blah, blah. He's putting on his Facebook, oh, we gotta come together. I'm like, are you serious, dog? So when you talked about the wave thing, that hit me so hard, because I literally can't even check Instagram anymore. Because I check Instagram for like a lot of ignorant stuff. But it's like, I just see a lot of these phony stuff. And I'm even texting my friends. Like I told you, son, I have a bunch of white friends who never talk. Now they're like, yo, we gotta come. I'm like, yo, dogs, don't talk to me. And I see a lot. I look online, I see all these people riding a wave. But James Dolan, put it like this, Tim, there may have been someone during the COVID-19 thing who was like, yo, bro, I work day to day, whatever. I'm not working out with the Knicks. Maybe I have some little saved up, but I'm suffering right now. I'm sick. My mom's it. And this dude, James Dolan, put money in the stash for my mom, for my father, my husband, whoever may be suffering to survive. And no one could remember that, because there should have been a follow-up email like, yo, dogs, why are you leaking this out to everybody? It should have been an email that said, yo, who leaked this out to everybody? You guys are discussing this dude held our backs when we could have suffered. He has nothing to do with blah, blah. And you see how everyone was quiet on both sides when it came to coming to his aid. And then also on the coronavirus fund thing. I didn't see any leaked emails being like, damn, James Dolan, that's a good dude, blah, blah. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you can't be nice to people.
They only read what they want to read.
Be feared and respected than loved. Because again,
they only read what they want to read.
Like I said, he gave a lot of black people, and what a lot of people deem a lot of unqualified black people, a lot of jobs, a lot of leeway to prove themselves. So if you looked at the Knicks, you actually tell the Knicks, now be racist and hire every white person you can see, because we got a lot of black people and they sucked throughout these years. Obviously, I'm joking around, but I just don't get how, forget even the media. Sim, if people buried you and said, yo, if ESPN came out the next day and put out something and said MBK is this and MBK is that, and I know it's not you, Sim, and they asked me like, yo, we'll give you foot. I'll be like, nah, what happened to integrity?
Hey, Guillermo, hold on 1 second, Guillermo. Hey, Guillermo, I don't know if this is true or not, but Howard Smith just said, and I don't know if this is true or not, so don't quote me. He said James Dolan last month offered to use MSG as a temporary hospital. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that was possible, but again, those are the little things that we don't hear.
But here's the thing.
If that's true or not, that's crazy to me.
And it might be, because here's the thing about James Dolan. From what I've seen, I just haven't seen him go out and publicize to everyone of all the things that he does. As a matter of fact, if you go back with that whole Steve Stout thing, right? James Dolan, Stephen A. Smith was on ESPN, and he said, one of the reasons that we need Steve Stout is not to speak about internal matters for the New York Knicks, but to paint James Dolan in a better light, because James Dolan does not do a good job of letting people know of all the things he does for the community. He doesn't do a good job of doing that for himself. Stephen A. Smith said this. And you know how Stephen A. Smith is about the Knicks. He said he does not let it know Steve Stout should be doing that job, which I agree with. Steve, if he doesn't want to let that out, that's his business. He doesn't have to tell everybody every single thing that he does. He doesn't have to.
What does Stephen A. Smith do for the community? Where do these people come off? That's why I laugh when they try to come at Jordan, and they did the same thing with Jordan, where it was like, oh, LeBron. If people actually understand what Jordan did for people, he got Pippen, the Nike contract. He told Charles Barkley, go for points instead of just taking. He did a lot of stuff. Like even they point out, even the politician that he didn't want to publicly endorse, he still gave that guy money. And everybody wants to paint this guy because, oh, what he said. But you know what's crazy? You know what it is? It's just art imitation. People want to see fakeness. They don't care about what you do underground. They don't care about the stuff. Wendell Pierce, Warwick Dunn. Warwick Dunn was giving homes to people out in I think in the Atlanta area. I can't remember. And he's the one that gave Deshaun Watson his house. Deshaun Watson, the football player, one of the top quarterbacks for the Houston Texans. No one talks about this. I've never heard Warren Dunn mentioned. Jalen Rose has a school. Didn't hear him mentioned until they brought up LeBron. Oh yeah, he has a school too. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying. Do something so if it touches your heart, because you know why? If you're doing it for people are fickle. And a lot of people that are going to criticize you, they're really, excuse my language, ain't about ish. They're not about ish. So if you do something, don't do it to appease people to look good. Do it for the people you're trying to affect. Because you know why? When all is said and done, the Most High is going to see you, and the people that you affected that are truly about that really ain't pieces of ish, they'll appreciate it. That's
it, bro.
Hey, Sam, before Savvy goes, Sam, can I say one more thing? And people can feel how they feel about this. The Spurs still didn't make a statement, even though they're gonna say Greg Popovich did it. But that's Greg Popovich.
That's Greg Popovich. That's not the Spurs.
That's not the Spurs. And you know what, Sam? I'm sorry, Savvy, but that's ridiculous. So it's crazy. Oh, I watch videos. Oh, Greg Popovich is Greg Popovich the owner of the Spurs?
No.
Is he the owner of the Spurs?
No.
So keep the same energy for the Spurs. I'm sorry, Savvy. You can go, Savvy. I'm sorry, bro.
Savvy, I'm gonna come to you. I want to get to. Hold on. I want to. The Nets. I guess the Nets didn't make a statement, but I want to come back. I'm gonna come back to you guys. Right. I'm gonna get to a couple phone calls, people who've been calling in, and then I'm gonna make sure I come back and get to you, Savvy. I just don't want to lose the people that's calling in because I like to get their voice too.
It's all good, Sam. It's all good.
Yeah, because I like to get their voice too. But it's disheartening, man, because we have such a bigger issue at stake, and James Dolan is the topic of conversation. But we're gonna get to that. We're gonna keep it true to that. Caller, you're live, man. On Nothing But Knicks. What's poppin'?
Shout out to the chat. Yo, Blackest Time. What's good, son?
Tony Crow, what's poppin' with you, brother? How you feeling?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm enjoying the show. Yeah, I wasn't even aware of what was going on until I seen your your post on YouTube, and I still wasn't aware until a couple hours ago when I got home from work, and I watched the statement and whatever, and I didn't understand where the outrage came from. Like I was a little confused because I didn't know if he was saying. I didn't understand if he was like restricting his employees not to say anything.
No, he did not. Because I went back to look at players, Instagrams and to see if they said anything, right? Because I did read that somewhere. Someone had said something about that. It's not right for James Dolan to not allow his employees to say something. I was like, wait a minute, when did that happen? So I went and I looked and I seen several players, not all the players, but I seen several players had made statements. So clearly the public relations department, nobody said anything about, telling employees not to say anything. You know what I mean? So that isn't what happened. It was the outrage that a lot of people, basically what people are saying is this. Being silent on the situation is equal to racism, right? Which I disagree with, because someone can be very silent because maybe it's not their way, but do all kinds of work behind the scenes. Someone could not be on social media. I could say I don't post on social media anymore, but I'm going to do all this work behind the scenes because that's how I operate. So because I'm silent doesn't mean that I'm racist or that I support racism. You know what I'm saying?
And unless you're behind the scenes, unless I'm behind the scenes with you, I'm none the wiser of what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was listening. I was enjoying everybody's take. I agree. I think it's like a vendetta. And they just, they trying to force them out, and they really taking the wrong approach. And immediately, I'm thinking of the stuff you guys all mentioned of all the good things that I know he's done throughout the community. Yeah. It just made no sense to me. And it's funny, Guillermo just mentioned Jordan, and I was just thinking the opposite about Jordan. Just because he's everything, I've never heard of any good thing Jordan has done, to benefit someone like myself, someone that grew up the way I grew up. Unless they, was an athlete, which in that case, that changes everything. But just like a normal kid in the hood or, situational COVID-19 situation, like the good things James Dolan done, a lot of these other people haven't done anything except open their mouth and say something. And then as soon as the situation dies down, they're nowhere to be found. They just mentioning things for the moment. I've been trying to reach out to you too, because it's funny. Prior to this whole COVID-19 thing, I've been trying to get these recordings or interviews with like Trump supporters. Also, trying to get just a couple of different ethnic groups sitting down and having a panel and discussion. A lot of what I was doing kind of got shut down. I think I only got really like 2 different videos. But in the meantime, I've been trying to do like, reach people and set up Skype meetings or video interviews and things like that. And I really been out there in the field with these protests, at least the local protests. And it's crazy because, we had talks behind the scenes, and you really inspired me with some of the things that you were telling me you wanted to do and some of the things you already were doing in your community. But back to what I was saying with these videos, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. I had come to this, it was bothering me every time I seen somebody like with a MAGA hat or whatever, and then I realized how angry I was getting. So I was on my break one time, and I'm like, I gotta stop letting these things affect me, and really thinking about like, just because somebody has a MAGA hat, they don't have to necessarily be racist, and so that's what brought me into wanting to sit down and do these interviews, just to see where some of these people minds were, what made them, agree with his views or policies or whatever it is they agree with. And it's funny, like within the last 2 or 3 weeks, like now I'm getting a lot of these things set up. So I'm gonna get to actually. I don't know if these recent events have changed people's minds, opened people's minds, but that's the assumption that I'm under. So a lot of people are empty with their statements, but I think a lot of people they can't help but change their views or see things that they didn't see before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And And with what you're trying to do, people are going to have some negative thoughts and statements about what you're trying to do, right? People are going to say, oh, he wants to talk to someone who has a MAGA hat. Just do what you do, man. Just do what you do. If you want to find out why they, however they, why they wanted to support Trump, that's what you do. Find out why they wanted to support Trump. Because one of the things I always look at, and I tell people all the time, I would never run for office. But hypothetically speaking, if I did, I would sit down with those in white supremacy, whoever they are, those groups, to find out what is your thinking. Right? Because that's the only way that you're going to be able to reach anyone. I read white supremacist literature now because I need to know how they're thinking. You know what I mean?
Sim, can I chime in real quick, son?
Yeah.
So you know what, Sim, what really disappointed me the other day that I was really excited about. So I seen, and this was my fault for getting myself hyped. I was waiting because the Breakfast Club released an interview with Rush Limbaugh, right? And I was excited because I'm like, wow, it's Rush Limbaugh. This is completely different. I kind of follow Rush Limbaugh a little bit. I'm not like, I don't follow everything, but I know how he feels about certain things. And I thought it would be an excellent discussion because those are the type of discussion that we need to move forward. You know, if you got people like the Breakfast Club going with and talking to Rush Limbaugh and getting Rush Limbaugh to understand our point of view, and we got to understand his point of view. And Sim, can I say that was one of the most disappointing interviews I've ever watched. And I advise you to watch them. I think you will feel the same way. I think Guillermo will feel the same way. I think Kevin will feel the same way. This was one of the most this was celery. This was 0 calories, zero anything. It was nothing. They're literally coming at Rich Limbaugh because they don't see his point of view and not understanding where he's coming from. And Rush Limbaugh is trying to say to them, he's bringing up excellent points and excellent facts, but they're just screaming out, you know, to me, this was me. They're just screaming out, you know, you're just privileged, you're white, you're this, you're that. They're just screaming that. That's all. It was a 26-minute interview, Sam, and they were just screaming that. And I was so disappointed because I'm like, yo, why weren't y'all prepared? If y'all were prepared and study Rush Limbaugh and understand who he was and see his point of view, or at least try to understand his point of view, this could have been a discussion to bring two different platforms together to understand each other, to move forward in a better discussion. But with the Breakfast Club, mainly Charlamagne the God, you know, it's usually him.
Yep.
Was just screaming out, you know, this, you know, you're just an old white man, you don't understand nothing, this, and that. And I almost felt bad for Russ because he's trying to understand, he's trying to have these conversations, but they weren't trying to move forward. And that really bothered me because that's not what we should be doing. We shouldn't be, if we're gonna be in a civilized place and have a platform like that where we can talk to over 10 million people, because I know the Breakfast Club average like 8 million. I think Rush Limbaugh probably averaged around that number too. That's 16 million people, Sim, that could have an understanding of a conversation and to move forward. But no, it was just more ignorance, spitting out more ignorance, and we didn't get a chance to move forward. It was just an empty interview. And stuff like that bothers me because we gotta do better. Like you said, you gotta understand what these people are thinking, because how can we try to move forward if we don't understand, you know, our quote unquote enemies? You know what I'm saying? We gotta be better, man.
How can you understand, but also how can you protect yourself? If you don't know what they're thinking, how can you protect yourself? You know what I'm saying? If it comes down to being able to protect yourself, I mean, you gotta know what they're thinking in order to protect yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. We've got to be able to.
Wait, hold on, because I'm not defending. I'm not defending
real quick before I hang up.
I'm not defending.
Because the reason I want to do these interviews is because I don't like the way I feel when I see the hat. Automatically, I'm thinking these people don't like me, which makes me not like them. And most of the time, I'm in a work environment, so it's not like I can react any type of way. And I'm honestly just looking for something to react. Like, I realize, like, the way I feel when I see that hat, I shouldn't. I got to control myself.
Right.
So I want to know. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Basically, I'm hoping just because you wear that hat, that doesn't necessarily mean you don't like me. You know what I'm saying? And then we could go from there.
Right. Without a doubt.
And if you don't like me, I do want to know.
Exactly. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I want to know.
Like,
Exactly.
I respect them races.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No doubt.
Show me how you feel.
No doubt about it. Hey, Tony, man, I appreciate the call, bro. We'll get to a couple other phone calls here. Peace, man.
Yo, Black is one.
And you know, listen, today I got called. I don't want to say the person said I was a sellout, but he said, "Sim, please don't sell out." That's what he said to me. If you wanna find out what my response was, you can go to the YouTube. You can go to that video. See what my response was to my man that said that. But that's what you'll get anytime you start to look and say, well, let me try to understand the other side, or In this case, it was simply saying, don't let this situation with James Dolan divert you from what's really out there. What's called a sellout? Caller, we live on Nothing But Knicks. What's popping?
Hey, what's up, Sim?
What's going on with you, bro?
Nah, chilling, man.
So what's going on, man? What you got?
Nothing much. Just I just get tired of all this. Like, I'm at the point where without sports on, I don't watch ESPN. So, unless I have to, if I can't watch it on League Pass, I'm just gonna boycott ESPN. I don't really watch football like that. I like baseball, but I'm a Mets fan, so ESPN's not showing them. It's just like, why do we keep torturing ourselves? We don't have to watch it. We have the internet. We have your show. We have other shows like it. You don't have to watch network anymore. And I just think, I didn't watch that Jordan documentary because I knew there was going to be Knicks slander. And I'm just not going to watch ESPN anymore because they didn't have to do what they did today. They had a slow news day, so they decided to attack the Knicks.
Yeah, it started.
That's what I don't like.
But to be honest with you, it started last night before it even got to ESPN. It came out late last night, at some time, and I seen people, start saying stuff then, and I was just looking like, everything that's going on around you, you worried about James Dolan and the Knicks in this situation.
Yeah, I get that. I get it's going to get around on Twitter and all that, but I have ESPN on my timeline on YouTube. Every show they had was like Knicks slander. Everything. It was just James Dolan, and it's just like, what? James Dolan didn't say anything because he doesn't have to say anything. Name another team who had hired an all-black staff. Name another team that gave a black, how many teams can you name on one hand that gave Isaiah Thomas, a black guy, complete autonomy? Bad or good or indifferent, they gave him complete autonomy over their team. He's hired, he does basketball camps. He does, people need to understand, Cablevision and all that, yeah, you pay money, but they're a big reason why ESPN and ABC is ticked off because, they like blah blah blah. Channels like Yes Network, SNY, MSG, they keep a company like ABC and ESPN from going in and privatizing, your sports. Like in LA, that's all ESPN. Like they own the Lakers, so it's like you don't hear anything. You have your local sports guys, but that's the number one. In New York, ESPN Sports is like number 15. Like, they're going to slander James Dolan at any time because they don't want him and what he stands for. But this man's done nothing wrong. Spike was an idiot. Charles Oakley. I don't give a care what if they ask you to leave peacefully. You hit a guy. I don't want to hear you hit a guy and then you crapped on Patrick Ewing. You're done with me. I don't care about Charles Oakley. He was one of my favorite players. But you attack Patrick Ewing. He didn't have anything to do with it. But you lose credibility with me. So
I understand where you're coming from, man. I understand where you're coming from. Oakley can't.
Stuff, man.
It's. I'm really starting to believe Gamble when they say they got a conceded effort to try to get this man out of there, and they're using dirty tactics to do it.
Gamble, let me give you your pause right now.
You know what I'm saying, Isaiah? You can't keep unmuting yourself, man, over top of me talking, man.
Isaiah just can't stop tonight. He just going off like crazy tonight.
Yeah. Hey, you guys. Hey. I still got a phone call, man. See, that's the problem. That's the problem with whereby right now. I'm saying, you give people too much freedom, they don't know how to control themselves, Isaiah. Anyway, hey, my man, I appreciate the call, bro.
No, thank you very much, man.
Thanks, man.
I'm just
appreciate
have a good night.
And I do want to give a couple of shout outs, ladies and gentlemen, to some super chats. First of all, Ghost Rider, thank you for the super chat. You said you and your family stay safe. You and your family stay safe. And everybody else that's in the chat, please be safe. You know what I'm saying? Be safe. Watch out for these. Be safe, especially if you're out joining a protest. Watch out for some of these people who are planning out here to incite these riots. It's not the protesters a lot of times. It's people that they put here to incite it. So be careful. Big Freezy said, peace to the chat. Keep your heads up. Big Freezy again, thank you for the super chat. He said, activism takes stamina. Keep on keeping on. Exactly. Activism takes stamina. We can't stop here. We can't stop now. Can't stop here and stop now. You got to keep moving. Siobhan, thank you for the super chat. You said it pays well to sell out your people and community. Sometimes it does. That's what you see happen to a lot of people from our community. Big Freezy says, same as our guy, real recognize real. Appreciate you, my bro. Appreciate you. Get to another phone call here. Paulie, you live on Nothing But Knicks. What's pop?
What's good, Sam? It's Darley.
Hey, what's up, Darley?
Yeah, I just wanted to basically give you guys my point of view on this whole Dolan situation.
All right.
Honestly, man, it's like, since when is Dolan like a speaker for black people? Like, I've never seen him to be that. You feel me? Like, outside of basketball, why hate Dolan? Well, like if you don't like Dolan because of basketball things, fine, cool. But like, you guys are mad because he made a statement and his statement was inadequate. He's not he's not a politician. Like, that's not his place.
Listen, the New York Knicks, and if they have, please correct me, but the New York Knicks have never, ever spoke out about social issues. And this is what's so befuddling to me, is for years and years and years, and please, if they have, please let me know. All right? Black men have been being shot and killed for years and years and years and years and years. In other states and in New York State. Mm-hmm. The Knicks have never made a social media statement. Players have, but not the New York Knicks. No one ever said anything about it.
And that's what I'm saying. And it's like, you know, Guillermo usually comes out with these conspiracies, man. But this one has to be true about, you know, how like ESPN has it out for Dolan, trying to get him out, you know, just using media tricks and like just spewing out, because it's like every moment that they have, they say something bad about Dolan. Like, it's every single moment, and it's like, hey, like, we get it, you don't like the guy, but like, you can't bring race into it. Because as far as race goes, he hires black people, more black people than most teams.
Well, the only way they don't bring in race into it is that I don't want this man to speak for my community. So, you know, and it's not because you know, as an owner, I'm not, you know, it is what it is, right? But just, I don't need him. He doesn't know. He hasn't lived it. And he hasn't tried to act like he lived it or knows. And I don't want him to. Mm-hmm. So that's why the whole thing to me is just stupid. So this is what I want to do, right? I don't want to give any more attention to that, right? Because I want to move in to make sure that we're staying focused, because this is exactly what happens. Like Justin Hernandez just said, the media wants to make you look at another direction. Dolan, the battle of change is starting from within the human soul. Forget about Dolan. Right? He's saying the battle of change comes from you. Forget about Dolan. Right? I don't want to keep talking about Dolan. Let's start talking about some other things. All right. So this is what I want to ask you now. Darlie, what are you going to do? And one more thing from Justin Hernandez. He said, we talk about government that needs to change. Yes. But at the end of the day, the war starts from within. The human soul. Focus on what's in front of you. Yes. So, Darlie, I'm asking you, and I'm asking everybody out here that's in the chat, and you can put it in the YouTube chat. You can put it in the Sportscaster chat. Okay? I want to know from you, what are you going to do to create change? That's what I'm challenging everybody. And some people may not want to say it. So if you don't want to say it, can't nobody force you to say it. At least think about it. But I'm asking you, Darlie, what are you going to do? What are your next steps?
My next steps are always because people think that just going out, donating money, saying Black Lives Matters, making a post, like that stuff is what's going to make a change. Go vote. Go speak to people who are in power, because the only way to get into power is by speaking to people who are in power. Tell them about issues. Listen, Sam, I'm from the Bronx, so the Bronx right now, it's on fire. Like, everyone's going crazy. There's small businesses that are getting hurt, for things that have nothing to do with it. And and it's a point that I made on my Instagram post earlier, and it was that, listen, we can't talk about social issues outside of our own community, where our own communities are hurting us. It's like therapy, right? Like you're fighting with your wife. What is your therapist going to tell you? You can't fix the problems with each other until you fix the problems within yourself. There's a lot of self-hate going on within, for example, I'm Dominican, within my community, right? Where a lot of Dominicans talk about they're not black, or they're talking about, these morenos, which means these black people, right? Like they criticize other black people. And it's like, if you're not correcting them, if you're not doing what you can within your own circle, how can you expect change outside of it? It starts from within, and that's just how I feel about it.
I feel you. It starts from within. As a matter of fact, I did on the front stoop. You know about the front stoop.
Mm-hmm.
On the front stoop, I did a video or a show where we talked about how to change, right? How to rise up from oppression. Kind of like a little guide, I guess I want to say. I don't know if you want to call it a guide, but it was our conversation. How do we rise up from oppression? And the first thing that we talked about is loving yourself. That was the first thing we talked about. Loving yourself, knowledge of self. Right, that's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%.
Yep.
Know who you are as a person. Know your history. Love yourself. Love your people. You know what I mean? I feel you. Hey, my friend, I appreciate the call. All right, I'm going to get back here to the chat because I want to talk about what's next. What do we do next? How do we move on from here?
All right, Sam, I love everyone here, man. Just everyone stay safe and keep fighting the fight, man. God willingly, we'll get to where we want to be one day.
No doubt about it, man. I appreciate you, brother. All right, later. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys know the drill. And I hate to do it now, but I've got to. All right, I'm going to end this session here on YouTube, and I'm going to ask you to come on over to Sportscaster. All right, come on over to Sportscaster. Join us in the conversation on Sportscaster. All right, sportscaster.com/nothing but Knicks or NBK. Or just /sim. Either one. Sportscaster.com/NBK. Sportscaster.com/nothing but Knicks. Sportscaster.com/sim. And join us. For some reason, I'm unable to put links in my YouTube chat. I don't know why. So it was hard for me to get it there. I'm actually going to try to type it in right now. And then you can go ahead and, do what you do. But join me, ladies and gentlemen, as we talk about ways to not remedies, but what's next? How do we move on next? Where do we go from here? What do we do? That's what we're going to talk about. And I want to make sure that you join me. All right, so I'm getting ready to go ahead and type this link into the chat because it's not going to let me copy and paste it in there. All right, you can go into the description and get the link in the description. and join me on Sportscaster. We'll probably talk for, another good while. All right, so go into the description, get the link, and I'll see you over on Sportscaster, ladies and gentlemen. All right, actually, 703-48406. Remember that for me, 703-48406. Remember that for me, 703-48406, because I'm about to put this in the chat. All right, 783-48406. .com/stream/7. See that? I forgot it already, ladies and gentlemen. 703-48406. 703-48406. There you go. Join me on Sportscaster right now. The link is right there. Big shout to Ishmael. Thank you for the super chat. You said, keep doing you, Sim. Stay safe. I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you for being here with me on YouTube. Join me over on Sportscaster. The link is in the YouTube chat. The link is also in the description of the video. We're going to continue to talk about solutions. What's next? Where do we go from here? So that this does not stop. Peace, YouTube.